my name's Andrew Kusenbardis, and I have a 2002 Subaru WRX. I bought this car last year. I didn't have that high of a price range, but I wanted an all-wheel drive car that I could daily every day. I also really love the way that the turbo kicks in, and that's just one of the most fun parts about driving this car. So as far as mods go, I bought this car with the EJ257 short block with EJ205 head. It has a VF34 turbo. It's a very mid-range turbo, great for really strong pulls or just daily driving. This car on a Mustang dyno put down 315 horsepower at the crank and about 260 wheel horsepower, along with 290 foot-pounds of torque at the wheels. It's lowered on Cusco adjustable coilovers. It also has an HKS turboback exhaust. It has Cobb downpipe. The interior is full STI swapped. The previous owner set it up for track days, but I've been daily driving it, and it's something that I'm going to do in the future. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Apart from being my daily, I love to take it out on the weekends. Being in the canyons with this car is amazing. The way that the turbo hits, getting me out of the corners is just amazing. The way that it handles, the all-wheel drive, the comfort that I have, the confidence, it's something that really motivates me to drive it every day. I want to wake up and drive it. So with that said, let's go take it for a drive.
All right, so now we're in Andrew's 02 WRX. I will say first impressions, just driving it around slowly, it's really similar to the 2012 WRX I reviewed previously. The driver controls all very light. The clutch is very light. It's a little mushy, but still very easy to use. Surprisingly, this car is not too loud or drony at low RPMs, which is nice for a daily driver. Seating position is kind of reminiscent of like a hot hatch, so it's not the lowest or most focused. You're not sitting super low in the car, but you do have really good visibility because cars of this era, kind of like the 90s and early 2000s, the windshield is just humongous, and all around the car, the greenhouse just has a lot of surface area to it, so you can see pretty much anywhere you want without anything obstructing your view. Like these A-pillars are really thin compared to cars of today. Steering feels pretty good. This is a hydraulic rack, right?
Yeah, hydraulic.
Not a whole lot of weight to it, but you still feel everything through the fingertips, especially as you're going over little bumps or cambers in the road. You can tell exactly what the front tires are doing. So do you have stock brakes on this car?
Yeah, stock brakes, but I have Hawk pads on it.
Okay, what are they? The Hawk HPS or HP Plus?
They're the HPS.
Okay, so they're more street tuned.
Yeah.
So you have the EJ257, you said?
Yeah, so it's the EJ257 short block
with a 205
head.
Yeah. So the 205 is the original engine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the original internals. But I mean, the main part of this car is the short block. That's where I get a lot of the low-end power from. Okay.
And did you say it was a custom tune, or was it just a...
Yeah, it was a custom tune.
Okay.
It has, the exhaust that it has, the turbo, and injectors, all those things put into place.
Required a custom tune.
Required a custom tune, exactly.
So this car should feel pretty fast when we start to push it here in a little bit. So other things to note about this car, it weighs a little under 3,100 pounds.
Yep.
From the factory. I imagine with these bigger wheels on it, maybe it weighs slightly more, but not by a significant amount.
This configuration of the two blocks, it's very popular for this model, for the 2002s. It works well for just your daily use.
Okay.
And I love it. It does require, the turbo kicks in about 3,000, but that's just how the VF34 works. Okay. It's a very mid-range turbo.
So what's the red line on this, 7?
Yeah, it should be around 7,500.
7,500?
7,500. It's actually been taken up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does it pull effectively all the way up there, or do you lose a little bit?
I do. The top end on this car is not as good as the low to mid-range.
Okay.
But that's just how I wanted the car.
Okay.
So
better for daily driving.
Yeah, exactly. and it's fun in my opinion to have the low end and the mid-range.
In terms of ride quality, it's definitely on the stiffer side.
Yeah.
Do you know what spring rates you're running?
No, I don't know the spring rates.
Okay. Well, either way, it's
yeah.
It does bounce a little bit over the bumps, and this is not the smoothest road. I imagine on the track it would feel pretty decent, but for daily driving it's not the best. And so the stock motor, the EJ205, for those of you who don't know, was a 2-liter. So single turbo, dual overhead cam, flat 4 configuration, 227 horsepower, I think 217 foot-pounds of torque.
217.
So this is now a 2.5 liter, right? Making about 90 horsepower more than that, so 315 at the crank. And it's also, I believe is it the same motor that was found in the 2012 generation?
Yeah, same motor.
Okay, so I'm familiar with that motor, at least in its stock state of tune, stock everything. I thought it was a very laggy motor in terms of the way the turbo responds when you put your foot down. You really had to rev it beyond 3,000 for you to get anything resembling, throttle response. When we start pushing this, let's see how this compares with the mods that you put on it. So just basically clutch in, floor the gas to around 4,400, and then kind of just sort of ease into the clutch.
Yeah.
All right, let's try it. Well, that works pretty well. That turbo.
Yeah.
Is that clutch I smell?
Yes.
Could be. Did I do that? Did I botch that launch a little bit?
No. I think, well, right there a little bit.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it? You said stage 2 clutch, right?
Yeah.
Is it Exedi?
Yeah, Exedi, yes.
Okay. Well, I will say it handled that launch pretty well because it got off the line really quick.
Yeah.
The overall thing I think about this car is that it feels like it's more than 315, but I think that's just due to, again, it's just due to the way it's tuned. The turbo feels like, I would say right around 3,500, it kicks in really hard.
Yeah, it really, it's like a hammer. It hits hard, so.
Otherwise, I really like these tires. These Continental Extreme Contacts, they work pretty well on the street.
Yeah.
I never felt a loss of grip or traction. I mean, obviously being all-wheel drive, traction shouldn't be an issue. Overall, it's just a really easy car to drive in terms of the handling characteristics. It has a slight tendency to understeer. Obviously when driven at the very limit, it is going to be predominantly understeer. But when I drive it around 70%, as I did just now, it's pretty neutral. The steering feels really solid and communicative. The one thing that is a little bit more difficult about this car in terms of the way you have to drive it is the throttle response can be a little peaky at times, because depending on where you are in the RPMs, you can get a really sensitive response or you can get a very delayed throttle response. So you have to be mindful of that when you're going to the throttle. It doesn't have a very linear throttle response the way a naturally aspirated engine would. But it is very easy to heel toe. The pedal layout is perfect. The shifter is pretty typical Subaru, except for the fact that it has like a short throw shifter on it. It does have a sort of vague notchy feel to it, but I didn't miss any shifts. I guess I'm just used to Subaru shifters now. Otherwise, you know, it's a really fast car. It's got good grip, gives the driver a lot of confidence. It feels like a very significant step up from the completely stock 2012 WRX that I drove before, in terms of not just power, but also grip. So what are your future plans for this car?
Well, my future plans, I mean, I want to get a little bit more power in it. I know it seems a little crazy, but I'm thinking of just want to get a front mount intercooler. I want to maybe go with an FP green turbo, and then maybe some forged pistons, and then maybe some cams, and
so you actually want to touch the internals on this?
I do, yes. Subaru engines are a little scary once you start putting a lot more power into it. So, I mean, it's like a safe route to go for.
So have you had any issues with the glass transmission thing? I know I heard about it.
I have.
Oh, really?
Actually, about 400 miles ago, I launched it. It was fine, but as soon as I launched in first, as soon as I hit second gear, I blew out second gear. Second gear blew. So
wow, okay.
Yeah, so that was actually a little bit of an expensive fix, but I mean, that I feel like that was destined to happen. This car has about 120,000 miles on the same tranny, and you know it's had this kind of power for a long time. So
right.
It was granted it was going to happen.
But once you get it fixed, is it pretty much bulletproof? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
it's. I had it built too.
Okay.
The tranny.
So if I had two things that I don't particularly like about this car, number one, the coilovers are on the bouncy side. You said these are Cusco, right?
Yeah, Cuscos.
Okay. You might want to look into maybe what spring rates you're running, but either way, I think maybe just the coilovers themselves, the shocks, they're just not that compliant in the way they're tuned. The other thing is the brakes, since they are stock brakes with just a pad upgrade, they don't have a whole lot of bite to them, so the pedal is a little soft. And I know you said the pads are almost done on these, right? I didn't get any fade, which is good, but that's going to be another major upgrade in terms of how much benefit you get from them just by upgrading the pads when you take it to the track.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a really fun car to drive. Like I said, it's got huge amount of power. Not a huge, but just the right amount, I would say, for a car that weighs a little over 3,000 pounds. It's still usable power in the canyons. Also, I really like the Boxer rumble. It's just a really nice sound. The supercharged BRZ I recently drove also, it had the unequal length headers. It had, I think, a full straight through exhaust. So it sounded the business. I think that one sounded even crazier than this one. This one, what, you're just running a HKS?
Yeah, just an HKS.
High power?
I don't think it's high power.
Okay, it's single exit. Right?
Yeah, single exit, just titanium. That's it.
And did you have unequal length headers too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Unequal. It's got a Cobb downpipe straight to the HKS. So,
okay. Have you considered going E85? Just curious.
I have considered it, but it's for a daily driver. I mean, it's still hard to find that in California.
Yeah, it's hard to find, and it kills your fuel economy.
Yeah.
I would say if you had a second car,
yeah, exactly,
E85 it, but as a daily driver, it's really inconvenient.
Yeah. I mean, the only other alternative would be flex fuel.
Yeah. All right. So thanks again, Andrew, for letting me drive your WRX. Probably the most fun all-wheel drive car I've driven so far. We'll see if that changes once I review some Evos. So thanks guys for watching my video. If you liked it, please subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.